Welcome to the Coming Clean podcast with your host, Peter O. Estevez.
Hit a dash in my position, you will never last. Real talk, I had to get it from the mall. Real talk, now I'm vibing with a bankroll.
Hello and welcome to a new episode of Coming Clean Podcast, the place where you would meet interesting people from all walks of life with one common goal, and that is to make a difference in this world. And today we are going to do that with Dr. Greg S. Reid. Welcome and thank you for being our guest today, Greg.
Absolutely, and here we are.
Yes, we are. How are you getting along with this confinement that we've been forced to be a part of across the world?
You know, I'm in San Diego, California, and everything is in super lockdown, but I'm kind of embracing this, quite frankly, and I'm looking at some of the opportunities to adapt and adjust and have some ability and mobility in my business. And so far, things are going actually spectacular.
Well, good. Congratulations on that. You know, I actually wrote a quote the other day, and I can't quote it verbatim, but it was something to the fact that the universe has taken a pause and has given an opportunity to us to catch on our goals and dreams. And it is up to us to take advantage of that, because it is very unlikely that we would ever have this monumental amount of time that we've been granted, we've been gifted. So I can see, as a successful man as you are, a go-getter, a real start at how you could take advantage of this opportunity, and I commend you for that. Greg, Dr. Greg Reid is a best-selling author, a keynote speaker, a filmmaker, and he's also a proud father of a son, 8-year-old son, Colt. Wow. When do you sleep and when do you rest?
You know, the 8-year-old son is my highlight by all means. It's so interesting how you learn so much from these kids. And I'm an old guy. I'm 56. I'm a late in life dad. And it's been such a great, spectacular run for me personally. You know, he does this little thing called the mantra. At 6 years old, he had the #1 spoken album on Amazon.com, by the way. And it was really cool. It says, "My name's Colt. I'm happy. I'm powerful. I'm successful. I'm worthy. I help people." And it took off like crazy. And tens of thousands of people ended up downloading it. And they play it on their cell phones when they're out jogging. How crazy is that?
Incredible, incredible. Maybe I should be interviewing him, huh?
There you go. He's the hotshot.
Hey, Greg, there's an interesting story about you. You're an author of 100 books, but you're dyslexic. And you're often quoting yourself as can't read and can't write. How do you do that? What is that secret to that success?
Yeah. It's so funny. People say I've written all these books. I haven't written 𝗥𝗩𝗔𝗕𝗏, just so you know. I mean, I can't write. So I can't really read. I can't write. I'm dyslexic. I can't spell. Play me Words with Friends. You win every game. And I understood the power of work your strength and hire your weakness. So I'm full of hot air. I'm a good speaker. I'm a good orator. So what I do is I hire amazing ghostwriters and editors and copy designers, and they take my words and craft them in a way that people would actually want to read it in written form. And by doing so, I've been published now in 100 books, 45 different languages. I believe I've got 5 books at Barnes & Noble at any time on a bookshelf, and even got a star on the Walk of Fame for being an author. And the key is surround yourself with people that play at something you'd work at.
You know, and you minimize your accomplishment, and thank you for your humility, but you actually did something very, very unusual. At the age of 17 years old, you set out to write 80 goals that you would accomplish in your lifetime. Tell us a little bit about that process and where are you at in your goals? Because that's amazing to me. Very few 17-year-old kids, do that. You know, even adults for that matter.
Yeah, well, I remember that I was talking about a bucket list, and I live in the beach here, a little town in San Diego, and I had these crazy goals. I go, I'm gonna write a book, but I can't spell. I'm gonna make a movie, but I don't know nobody. I mean, all these crazy things. I'm gonna climb Mount Kilimanjaro and run with bulls and swim with sharks. The craziest stuff you can imagine. Carry the torch for the Olympics. They were impossible goals. And what I did is I jotted them down, and then I started just checking one off as I could. And it was kind of surreal because 2 years ago, I got my last one where I didn't have a degree. I never went to college, barely graduated high school, but I wanted to be a doctor. And I go, it's impossible. It can't be done. And I says, but what could I do? So I started telling everyone I knew that this was my last dream. And a guy comes up and says, you're not going to believe this, but in India, the biggest university system, like their Harvard, they have 37 campuses. The last person to get an honorary degree was Ted Turner, who started CNN. He goes, let me see if they'll give you one. I go, yeah, right. They called me 2 weeks later and said, not only are they going to give you one, but they want you to do commencement speeches. And I says, well, I'll tell you what, I'll give back. So I invited 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 us these honorary degrees, and we inspired the kids across the nation.
Wow, what an incredible, incredible, incredible story. Because that was going to be one of my questions. How are you a doctor? You know, so you accomplished your 80 goals, including being a doctor, but at one time you were quoted as saying, I got tired of being a quitter. I had failed at 3 marriages. So how did you make that mental shift? How does one do that? Take us through that process.
Well, again, a good writer, a good author writes about what they need help with the most. And for myself, I was a quitter. So I quit everything. And so the first major best-selling book I did with the Napoleon Hill Foundation, the Think and Grow Rich series, was called 3 Feet from Gold, about the first chapter of Think and Grow Rich, where the gold miner gave up just 3 feet away from the largest strike in history. And I realized most people quit right before the miracle happens. First, there's a dream, then there's a challenge, and then there's victory. Everyone, including myself, quit in the challenging times. And I wanted to change that. So I sat down and interviewed everyone from the guy building the elevator to space to the founder of NASCAR, from the founder of Chick-fil-A restaurants down to the guy who created string theory. And I kept asking them how they got through those times. And I started applying, there's a big thing, applying the things I learned along the way. And I can honestly say I'm no longer a quitter. And more importantly, I complete every single task that I agreed to do. And the way I did that is I realized I was just saying yes to be a people pleaser to so many people, and that's why I would quit. And so I started being very selective of what I agreed to, and by doing so, I knew I'd get through the end process, so to speak.
So give us maybe 3 tools that people can apply today that perhaps are in that situation where they want to give up on something. And you know, 99% of the people, we often talk about the 1%, the 1%, the 1%, okay? And obviously those are the notable human beings across the world that are able to accomplish amazing things. And the other 99% are the people sitting in the bleachers, wishing, hoping, and thinking and dreaming, but they don't get to that last mile. They don't, you know, they quit 3 feet before the miracle happens. So 3 things that somebody could apply today, listening to the podcast, that they could start tomorrow.
Well, first of all, seek counsel and not opinion is probably my biggest one. And the difference is so many people seek opinion of their family, friends, neighbors, you know, their peer groups, that they don't know what they're talking about. And you know, opinions based on ignorance, lack of knowledge, and experience, where counsel is based on wisdom, knowledge, and mentorship. So if I went to a family friend and say I'm going to write a best-selling book, they might talk me out of it if they've never written a best-selling book and know that I can't spell. But if I went to Jack Canfield, who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul and sold 1 billion copies, he'll say, sit down, here's what you need to know, and give you counsel based on wisdom, knowledge, and mentorship. If we would spend our activity only seeking counsel and ignoring people's opinion, that's the day your life would change. And it also gives you the direct roadmap and blueprint to take you from where you are to where you want to go.
You know, you say it very easy. For a man that is very successful, voted the best dressed man in San Diego, has a start in Las Vegas, published a book. You said, well, you call Jack Canfield and he's going to give you counsel. Okay. Well, what about the guy sitting in the middle of nowhere land? Okay. That says, well, I don't know how to access Jack Canfield. I don't know how to start. Does not have your drive, does not have your motivation, does not have your stamina to go out there.
Okay, let me answer that question. First of all, then they probably won't do it. So there you go. There you go. That's what separates me from everybody else. So God bless it. The realities are we are not all the same. And if you are afraid or you're not going to pick up the phone or take action, then that's it. Look, it's the action in the law of attraction that makes your dreams come true. You got to think it, feel it, but you got to get off your ass. You got to take action. You got to do it. That's the only thing that's different between me and most people. Look, again, I am probably the least qualified human being to do what I do. The only difference is I would take a goal and I will not stop now until I find a way to make it happen. You know, the realities are when I started making my first major motion picture, it was the same thing. All I had was rejection, rejection, rejection. When I did my first book, I was turned down by 268 publishers, agents, and printers in a row. The 269th one said, we'll do your book. Just change the title, the beginning, the middle, and the end, because I really sucked at writing. And I got a ghostwriter. They took my words, crafted in a way people went on to read, and it went crazy. And by the way, I'm going to give people an example of what I'm talking about. My way that I wrote the first book called The Millionaire Mentor was this. It sat there and said, a boy gets the entrepreneur spirit, gets off his ass, takes action, mows lawns, makes money, and buys a bike. That's my version. And they took it and said, it was a glorious Sunday afternoon when a young bright-eyed lad caught the entrepreneurial spirit as he went outside with his best friend Spot, and they made it into a way people would want to read it. That's what I'm talking about. It's still my message, but it's told and crafted in a way that people would actually sit down and open a book and enjoy.
Not only have you completed your bucket list that you started at the age of 17 years old with 80 things on your list, but you also make the wish of the Make-A-Wish Foundation founder.
That's right. So I was interviewing, Frank Shankwitz for a book called Stickability, Think and Grow Rich. And at the end of the interview, I go, by the way, I'm curious, what was your wish? And he goes, what do you mean? So, well, you're the founder of Make-A-Wish. What'd you want? He says, no one ever asked me. I says, well, I'll be the guy that grants your wish. Whatever you're going to tell me, I will give it to you. And he says, I just want my story to be told so my grandkids know I did something cool. So he signed over his life rights and to make it into a major feature film. And I said, I'll do it, but just know I've never made a feature film. But he trusted me, and it took 6 years, millions of dollars, and more trials and tribulations you can shake a stick at. And eventually it went to become pretty successful. We made the ballot for the actual Oscars this last season, and we're trending worldwide on Netflix at this moment, and it's called Wishman.
It's an incredible movie, by the way. Congratulations. I watched it actually twice. It's very, very inspiring, because I didn't know the story of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I knew the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and I happened to be channel surfing one day on Netflix, and movie surfing rather, and I happened to come across. I said, well, that looks interesting, and I watched it. This was even before you and I connected, so it's an incredible movie.
Well, thank you. And back to that. I mean, again, and it really is a great movie. And the thing is, I don't know anything about it. Well, now I do. But when I started out, so it's these people sitting at home on the thing going, oh, it's you and your kid. No, I didn't know anything. I just started. And what I did is I reached out to the most successful people that have already done it. The most successful people are also the most available people. If you're brand new at something, you're happy-go-lucky, you're fresh, you're cool. If you're at the top of your field, you're happy-go-lucky, you got nothing to prove. If you're in the middle, you're a pain in the neck, you're filled with ego, you're edging God out. So the secret is to literally jump to the front of the line and ask those people for guidance. Look, when I wanted to be a best-selling author, I went to Barnes & Noble, and I didn't buy the great classic books. I didn't want to be a great writing author. I want to be a best-selling author. And I asked those people how they did it. I duplicated their system for myself, added my twist, and here we are today.
How does a guy that doesn't set up an alarm become the great published author? You don't set up an alarm. What is your structure? What are your daily rituals? How do you start your day?
I wake up, and the first thing that I say is thank you every single day. That's the first thing comes out of my mouth, because it's a new day, and I live in gratitude. And then I usually get some coffee and check my phone and hit the schedule and see if something's on there. I have no idea. So it's interesting. Every day is basically like opening up a new present, because I have no idea. Shannon, I got a secret weapon. Her name's Shannon. She's freaking amazing. And so she sets all my stuff for me. So people come, they want interviews or meetings and things of this nature. They all go through her. So I never even check the day before. I wake up, when my eyes open, I see what I got planned, just like today. And here we are.
But Greg, I ask you that question not because not trying to be coy, because today you listen. If I listen, or anybody goes into social media and listens to any of the top influencers, transformational speaker, motivational speakers, gurus, whatever you want to call them, they all talk, from Robin Sharma to Lewis Howes to XYZ, they all talk about the 5 things that you do on a daily basis. Wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, pray, meditate, journal, XYZ, exercise, workout. Okay. But there's almost like a set of structure. Now, I follow my own personal rituals, but I don't believe the personal rituals are kind of like education. It's not one fit all. Everybody has to have to adapt to their own personality, to their own DNA, for lack of a better word.
Right. You call it personal. That's it. That's what worked for you personally. Look, when I was, again, back to the bucket list, one of my things on my bucket list was to live a life where I didn't have to set an alarm clock, because when I was in sales, I had to start at 6 o'clock in the morning every day. So I had to get up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and go, and I did it for 20 years. And so when I transitioned, got a little bit more success in my life, I said, what would life perfect look like? I go, well, I just set an alarm. I could eat whatever I want. I can, I have personal freedom, financial freedom. And I saw what that looked like, and that's what I go for. Look, I got to tell you, I've had one aha in this transition that we're going through. When everything started hitting the fan, I went, okay, what's my worst case scenario? I go, we get this, situation and the virus, and we don't make it through. I go, okay, that's your worst case scenario. So let me get my ducks in a row. I go, is my life insurance set? Yes. Is my will set? Is my thing set? Is that thing set? And I go, yeah. I go, well, my kid's going to be a multi-gajillionaire if I die. So everything's taken care of. And then I went, well, do I leave a legacy? Yeah, I did books, movies, check, check, check. So I realized that I'm really in a good spot. And then I said, since that's out of the way, why don't I start talking, instead of a great death style, what would my lifestyle look like? And so when I come out of this situation like everybody else is, I'm really going to adapt my lifestyle of how I want to live my life. And I'm going to continue doing these little things I'm talking about. Look, I'm not a fan of waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and doing a chant and a thing. Pass. That's not for me. I'd rather sleep in, chill out, wake up, have some Starbucks, enjoy a couple funny Instagram memes and start my day and whatever's on my calendar. That works for me. The funny thing about personal growth is that pesky growth part, right? And for me, I feel like I've already paid so many dues and I've done all the hard work that now I get to reap some of those rewards.
Well, and the reason I dug into that a little bit is because it's important for people to see a different perspective. And you said it's personal. It's not, it's not unique. Each individual is unique to them, but it's not unique to the world. Now, tell us about your childhood. How did you grow up? What did you grow up? And what was your childhood like? What were you at the age of your son today?
Wow, loudmouth and trouble, couldn't read. I mean, I'm telling you, I went through my old report cards. They were pretty brutal. I mean, my teachers tell me everything that I can't read, I can't write. So everything I just told you, I've got documentation since I was a kid. And, they wanted to hold me back, things of this nature. And I realized for myself, the one thing I could do was communicate. I could get the Twinkie off the other kid on the playground and make sure I could switch him for a tuna sandwich, right? I had that skill set, and I started applying it at an early age. For example, I wanted to start making dough when I was just a kid. I would go to the neighbor's yard and I would charge them $10 to mow the lawn. And then I'd hire the neighborhood kid for $5 to mow the lawn for me. And then I'd get other kids, right? And the whole concept of that was my mentality. And the whole idea is that, entrepreneurial spirit is something that you don't just catch. It's something that, to me, that you're born with. And I've incorporated in my daily basis even today.
So you actually started multi-level marketing.
Exactly. Let's talk about multi-level marketing. One of the great ahas I did from one of my best-selling books called Wealth Made Easy. It was this concept is, what if God in the universe granted every wish and every prayer, but we didn't like the packaging, so we sent it on its way? So for example, I sat there and said, God, Lord, I need $100. I'll do anything for $100. A guy pulls up in a pickup truck and it's full of aluminum cans. He says, take these off my hands. I'm running late for a meeting. They're worth $100. Say, I don't want those stinky things. Get them out of here. Well, you asked, you prayed, it was delivered, but we didn't like the packaging. Well, what happens is next time we ask and pray, the chance of our God or the universe granting that wish goes down because we didn't have appreciation, gratitude for the first time that was granted. So that's where the saying comes from, be careful what you ask for because you might just get it. It's the same thing if I sat there and said, please bring me the love of my life. I'm looking for the whole bit. And a perfect woman shows up and go, I don't like the color of her toenail. Now, all of a sudden, that was granted and wished. It wasn't in the form I was expecting. Well, years ago, my whole life, I've been proposed to join some form of network marketing. And I've always said no. That was the aluminum cans to me. And it kept standing in his way. And about 2 years ago, I joined one and it just took off and became a great success. And it's interesting because this day I still get residual income each and every week off that. And I look back and go, how many millions of dollars did I literally walk away from because I didn't like the packaging?
Absolutely. And that attitude and that mentality actually led you to meet a number of great personalities, among them the founder of Chick-fil-A.
Mm-hmm.
You tell us that story, how you were able to get a meeting with such a coveted individual.
Yeah, it was pretty complicated. There's this new medium for connecting with people, and I normally don't let it out in the public because it's kind of confidential, but it's called Google. Don't let anyone know about it, okay? And so what happens is if I see someone I want to meet, I go to the computer and I type their name in, I find their contact, and I reach out. That's how I get these great meetings. And the way that majority of them open up the door is because of specificity. I'm very good at this. So for example, look, I don't tell people I want to pick their brain. I don't sit there and say, I want to take you to lunch or dinner. No one knows me. Nobody. So the whole thing is that I reach out. Look, everyone watching this right now, you ever heard of me before? Nope. And that's the same for those people. So at the very beginning of this conversation, oh, it's easier for you. No, nobody knows who I am. And so the whole idea is I'm very specific in my ask. So I'd reach out to someone and say, listen, I'm writing a new book. It's called Stickability, The Power to Persevere. All I need is 12.5 minutes of your time. From the moment I walk into your office till the time I leave will be 12.5 minutes. I'll ask you one question: why you didn't quit your most challenging time. At the end of 12.5 minutes, if I'm not gone, you can kick me out, but I promise I'll be out the door. Well, the chance of them giving me that time is so high because it's very specific. They know exactly what they're doing and they know what I'm getting into. They know I'm writing a book. They know the topic. They know what I'm going to ask, and it's going to be short. That's it. Most people miss that. I'll give you another thing. I'm so sick and tired of people getting me to work for them. And I'll give you an example. I'll come off stage, 10,000 people in the audience, and they all in line want to meet. And they say the nicest thing: how can I be of service to you? How can I be of contribution? What can I do for you? I don't know you. I've never met you. I just walked out. I have no idea. So I now have to do a whole job interview with you to find out what I can do. If I walk off stage and go, hi, my name's Bob. I make internet memes. I notice on Instagram, you got 500,000 followers. What if I make you a couple free ones, see how you like them? If they work out, you may perhaps use my service. Done. Because it's so specific, to the point, and I don't have to interview you. I'm telling you right now, the quicker we can get to this type of a thing, the greater you'll have access to people, and they'll want to return your phone call.
And that attitude actually led you to meet Fred, the guy that invented the jet ski, which has an incredible story. Tell us that story.
By the way, you've done some homework. I got to tell you, it's pretty interesting. So I was doing a book called, I think it's back here somewhere, Success and Something Greater. When Napoleon Hill passed away, the last book he was going to write was called Success and Something Greater, but never got a chance to. And Sharon Lecter, who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad and 3 Feet from Gold with me, we went around the world and interviewed amazing people. And one guy's name was Fred. He's an entrepreneur, taught me a lesson that literally transformed everything the way I look in business. And he invented the 2-person jet ski and sold that patent for $75,000. And I said to him, I go, that must just kick you in the tail. He goes, what do you mean? I go, well, it's $1 billion brand you sold for 75 grand. I go, that must just drive you crazy every day. He goes, no, not at all. I go, what do you mean? He says, well, that 75 grand at that time and at that moment was exactly what I needed. He goes, it got my mortgage all caught up. And so I could finally sleep at night. He goes, I got my employees paid for their back wages, so I felt good about myself. And more importantly, it gave me the peace and tranquility that I haven't had in so many months. I even know what to do with myself. He goes, it was pure freedom. He goes, I was going through the attic and I was digging things out, and there was a little metal die-cast car. And I realized as a child, I'd play with these. And so I painted a number on the side. I had a buddy in NASCAR, and I gave it to him as a gift. Well, he showed it around, and the other drivers wanted it, so much so that NASCAR dug the concept and bought the rights for over $171 million. And He goes, as an entrepreneur, sometimes we have to do a deal in order to get us through to do another deal.
What an incredible, incredible story. And a lot of times we get so focused on what we lost instead of what we can gain from that experience.
Absolutely.
You recently shared a story about how you have transformed the way you look at how you deal with your son and his allowance. from somebody from his school. Okay. Share that story with us, because it's actually, I'm a single father, and very much like you, I raised my son very independently to be able to make his choices, to be able to even choose the type of school system that he wanted to. And he actually opted. I was divorced by the time he was 8 years old. And at the age of 8.5 years old, he came to me. He said, "Dad, I hate school. I hate the classrooms are boring. The teachers are angry. They hate their jobs. And they don't teach me anything I can't learn on the internet on my own. I want something more challenging." So I asked him, I said, "What do you want to do?" He says, "I don't know, maybe I want to go to a boarding school. I travel a lot as an entrepreneur." So I said, "Well, let's explore that option." So we explored 3 or 4 different options. He ended up deciding he wanted to be homeschooled so he could travel with me. And so he did. And you have a very similar relationship to with your son. You have given him a lot of freedom, a lot of independence, a lot of autonomy to be able to do what he chooses to do. But you used to give him an allowance, Benson chores around the house, and you recently changed that. Share that story with us, because I find it fascinating.
Yeah, I raised my kid like you do, like a free range chicken, right? They're just figure it out. And what's interesting is that, I was doing an interview with somebody, and they asked me a question. They said, "Do you pay your kid an allowance to do the things they don't enjoy doing, like taking out the trash and, making their beds and stuff?" I go, "Absolutely. I'm going to teach them that, you got to make money, and this is how it works." And they said, "Well, that's a shame." And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "Well, you're ruining your kid." I go, "What are you talking about? It's what my grandparents." He goes, "You understand?" He says, "What you're doing is you're training your child that the only way to make money is to do something that they don't enjoy doing." And I went, wow, it was a news flash. So what I did is I went to him and said, "Hey, I need to make some videos for my Instagram. I could, you're always on this phone. Can you teach me how to do it?" And he did, and started making some of these memes. So I started paying him to do what he excelled at, what he was good at. And all of a sudden he went, "Wow, this is amazing." And I said, "Look, now making your bed and doing the chores, we'll call that contribution. It's just what we do for the family to live here." He goes, "But I'm going to start rewarding you for what you thrive in." And now all of a sudden, that's what I do. So when he comes to me now and says, "Hey, I need to make some money for, the Fortnite game for some skins or whatever," I go, "Awesome." And he goes, "Well, what can I do?" And he goes, "What do you need?" And I go, "Well, I could use some more of these little video games or these apps or whatever." And that's what he's doing. So I'm paying him to do something he thrives and excels at. And the other things are just part of the family business.
What an incredible story. Greg, you said something a minute ago that caught my attention. You said, "After this is over, whatever the outcome will be, I'm going to do things differently." What does that mean moving forward? You're an accomplished man. You have done by far what many aspire, even inspired, or even dream about doing. You've done incredible accomplishments in your life. What would you do different after this period is over?
Yeah, I won't say what I would do different, but I'll tell you what I will do different. And so again, I'm an action guy. So again, I'm making a new list. I'm looking at things that are important to me. And I sat my son down and says, "Look," I go, "I did my bucket list. What's yours?" And so we're starting to keep a little track of what his is, because I realize that we get more fulfillment for helping other people succeed around us than we do out of our own accomplishment. What would we rather get? A $2 raise an hour at work, or watching our kid graduate school, right? I mean, we get so much more accomplishment feeling from seeing other people succeed. So number one, I'm working on his list. Door number two, I'm realizing what's important and what's not important. I looked out in the driveway and says, "Look, I got 3 brand new cars worth $1 gazillion." I go, "Why?" I go, what was that about? I go, "Well, I guess it's because society, and that's what we're told, and that's what we're raised, and that's what's cool." I said, "Well, do I really need to have that?" And the answer is no. So what I also realized is that I really enjoy where I live. People come to me. I'm kind of like a Pied Piper, so I don't have to travel around the world anymore. People fly and jump out to come to my place. And I work and I live out of the same little location. So I realized, why don't I just get even a better place that I don't want to live and work out of, downsize the cars, look at what's important, and enjoy quality of life. Again, what's that lifestyle look like? And I also realized that there's a lot of benefits that I wasn't taking advantage of. For example, these Uber Eats to all these different apps where you can have gourmet meals. I don't have to make top ramen for myself being a single dad anymore. I can get on the phone and have someone deliver a steak fancy dinner right to your home. And so I'm going to start applying some of the more amazing things that are around us. And I'm going to start downsizing the things that I don't need, don't want, and actually don't even have appreciation for it. Because I'm looking out in the cars going like, it's just a hunk of metal. All I need is one cool car for myself because I enjoy it, luxury, because if I drive to LA, I'm sitting in traffic. But do I really need a car that goes from 0 to 200 miles an hour in a few seconds that I can't drive, because the realities are no one goes that fast around in the streets.
Absolutely. One of your favorite quotes or sayings is not what you need or what you want, is what you're willing to pay for. What does that mean, and how does that apply in people's life?
So many people sit there and say, I wish I had this, or I wish I had a better job or a relationship, or I wish I had more money. And I always go, nah, you really don't, because the bottom line is we can have anything that we want in life. Saying that you want a Lamborghini, not having one, only proves that you weren't willing to do what it took to get it. That's it. So the whole thing for myself is I look back and go, what is it that I feel I'm lacking? And if there is anything, well, am I willing to do the actionable steps to make it happen? For example, these people talk about, becoming a billionaire. Well, you got to wake up at 4 o'clock and you got to do this and this and this. Well, do I want to be a billionaire so bad that that's the lifestyle? And the answer is no. So therefore, that's not for me. So I'll look back and go, look, I want to be comfortable, which I am. I want to have security, which I do. I want to make sure my kids are taken care of. I got. So now I can start focusing on a great foundation and where I want to go from there. But to say you want something and not have it just means you don't want it bad enough.
Absolutely. What projects are you working on today? What are your top 3 projects you're working on?
Yeah, I've always got 4 or 5 books in the works and things of this nature. What's really cool, let me think here. Oh, my new TV show. It's called Wake Up and Crush It.
Your reality show. Yes. Yeah. Tell us about that.
Well, I don't know. I just filmed the pilot and we're shopping it around. Yesterday I had these guys tell me how much they love it, and then the next call a group says, oh, it stinks, and then the next group says, I like it, but you should change this. It's interesting. It's the same thing in my books and the movies. The fact is that you cannot be all things to all people. So what I do is I go to people that I have respect for, not people I have influence over. Step number 1. And I go to these people and say, hey, here's my show. What do you think? And if I ask 5 people, which is my goal, and 3 of them have this same, input, that's what I follow. But if all of them are different, then I keep going to the drawing board. But the realities are, look, I cannot keep adjusting and adapting. When I made Wishman, every single person that read that script told me I should change that script. And we kept changing it every time to the point where I went, we'll never be done, because everyone reads it wants to change it. And I said, do we have a good script? Do we know we have something special? Let's go make that. And you have to draw a line in the sand and do it. So that's what I'm doing at my show right now. I think I'm to that point where I'm really onto something special and I'm ready to start filming it.
So pick 5 people you have respect for, not influence for, and you value their opinions, and you kind of make your for counsel. Okay. And you value their counsel. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Greg, what would be some closing words for our community?
Everyone does the cliche, that we're a reflection of the people we hang around. Our income, attitude, lifestyle is the average of the group. And everyone's heard it 1,000 times. But the latest one that's been kind of gnawing at me is people say that readers are leaders. And it's not the size of your television screen, it's the size of your library. And I think that's old adage. I really do. I think that's not fair. And I don't think that's correct in today's world. I think that we're right now the same as we'll be in 5 years, except for the content and information we put in our head and the people we surround ourselves with. So 1, choose your friends wisely, seek counsel, not opinion. And then don't be afraid to learn from different modalities. It's okay to get information from watching an amazing documentary, or to watch, current events, or to learn from a teacher that sat down and put their words into Audible instead of having to read it. So we can learn from different modalities. So it's not just the reading, it's the comprehension, and it's the valuable input, and then the application of the knowledge. Look, the fact is, right this second, where could we be tomorrow by applying what we know today? We need another motivational book and a seminar like a hole in the head. What we need to do is start applying all the wisdom, knowledge, mentorship we've already received and start putting it into to our daily activities, because it is the action and the law of attraction that makes our dreams come true. Think it, feel it, get off your backside. You got to do it.
And you heard him here on Coming Clean Podcast, the incredible Dr. Greg S. Reid. Thank you so much. Where can people find you on social media?
Instagram, Greg S. Reid. Go follow me there. And by the way, if you DM me, it goes right to my cell phone, not to anybody. There's no filter. The only thing is I don't talk about the weather, what you ate for dinner, the kids. That's not my thing. But if you sit there and say, hey, I'm working on a business challenge. I love this thing. What's a book I should read? A straightforward question. I promise I'll answer you personally direct, and I'll get right back to you right away.
Follow Greg Reid on Instagram. Follow him on Facebook. Thank you so much for being part of our community. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and listen, follow, and subscribe to the podcast on Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and of course, iTunes. Thank you so much, and we will see you soon.
Thanks, champion.
Thanks for joining us today on another episode of the Coming Clean Podcast. Make sure to join Peter and his next guest on a brand new episode as we continue changing and impacting lives across the world. Share this episode with a friend, follow, subscribe, and leave a review.
Boy, I had to get it fast. Hit a dash in my position, you